Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on this conference. My name is Raffael Dickreuter. I'm the CEO of a company called Superba AR. I'm originally from Switzerland, spent the last 15, 18 years in the United States, mainly in LA and now Miami, Florida. And we'll tell you a bit about augmented reality environments and things that we have been doing and I've been seeing the last couple of years and some recent work. And yeah, just real quick, my background, spent over a decade working in Hollywood movies like Iron Man and Avengers, and did a lot of previs. You had to do everything. You had to design action sequences, car chases, plane crashes, but also a lot of building environments and sets that had not been created. So you'd use 3D models to mock up action sequences and then use that to frame shots, and then that would drive basically what you would actually go film. So the whole world of pre-visualization, I'm sure for many of you, is nothing new, but yeah, that's basically 15 years ago. That was not maybe as common now as it is today, that you really use 3D. So a project I'd like to talk about, one of the hardest challenges in a project I just launched recently that I worked on, was an augmented reality app called Stadium AR, which launched in an NFL stadium with 60,000 people. And of course, that's a big challenge. If somebody comes to you and says, how could we augment this space? How could we get people that are always on their phones? What could we do that they now also could use 3D elements or overlay things onto the game field? So many challenges come with that. Of course, you have a different vantage point wherever you are. There's possibly almost no internet. It has to launch in a few seconds. It has to look good. And now you also should basically take advantage of the environment around you. So you want to blend them, they have to mix together. All doing that on a phone, big challenge. So, but yeah, I'll show you guys a demo video of how this worked out. Important thing is that basically on the top right, you can see it was triggered with a QR code, and that allows you to basically the fan to get it and launch it. And yeah, it was really exciting to see come that to life. So not sure if you guys can hear audio or not. But so the challenge to how do you actually tell people what they have to do, because people are not used to that. They're used to scrolling, everybody stares at their phone, but people having the ability to actually say, okay, let's use your phone, trigger it, and then now look through your phone and do things. And here you can see we had a pyro effect, we got a collision, yeah. And you got all the elements having to play together in a short period of time and making it interesting. And again, working from completely different vantage points. And at the same time, again, you're telling people that have never used something like that how to use it. So big challenge there. And yeah, so oops, how can I move forward? So a quick intro on the user journey. Maybe it's interesting to see, okay, how do you basically tell people from the get-go what this is? You're gonna load, you tell people where to look. You obviously have the whole technology that we developed, that it works in the background and in seconds. And yeah, so that's kind of the whole flow of things. A new one we just launched, and that also is again something similar or different, but was a campaign for Disney. It just launched actually this morning. So excited to share this here. And in the cross launched on Good Morning America, which is the largest TV show in the United States, and it launched last night on Monday Night Football, which has about 20 million people watching it. So the idea was, how could you again go to a different route? How could you basically immerse the person who's at home and they're already watching TV, but get them to do something and use augmented reality and use the space around you and the immersive experience to do something, and then here you actually do something good to donate. So the way this worked is basically, again, a commercial was launched in collaboration with other partners that launched on television, and it has a QR code, and then the person at home just launches the application, which is a web application, and then you have a immersive sort of 360 AR experience on your phone. You can look around, you see a sky, and you can tap stars, and you can do, now you can actually donate. So the goal to donate and get many people to donate for children was the driving force, in partnership with the Disney movie Wish, which is about to come out this week. And so again, many elements having to play together. And I believe many people that I worked with in the past or talked about, this was kind of a dream. What about you could get people not just watch TV, but you could actually get them to do something right there. And then using AR and how can you use a phone and executing that all in one go was really here, it came together. So I show that commercial that aired. And here's the QR code. And now you're gonna try to be, okay, use your phone, you get to tap a star, and then you get to grant a wish. And what you can't really see in this commercial is how immersive it is, because you get to really look around, you get to move your phone, you get to walk around, all these things. So here it's a bit more still traditional, but yeah, it was definitely exciting to do something like that for a brand such as Disney. Oops. And coming back to the user journey, yeah, you got, on the second slide here, you can kind of see, well, how immersive it is. It blends with the real world experience. And yeah, maybe you want to try it yourself. It's called wishonastar.app, wishonastar.app, and you can try it at home as well. Going back to a couple of years ago, we got approached to do an AR experience in the lobby of Netflix, which is a really beautiful place. But again, it was the idea, okay, how could you use this space and get people to use an iPad or basically use your phone to trigger things? So the idea is always, okay, could you use an object to trigger it? Could you have to use an image? Could you use GPS? Could you use a location? All that challenge is always something that comes up. And yeah, so basically what we got to do was, this decision was made, we should do something that extends the room. So you're going to look at a wall and it's going to extend and make the room bigger, and things may come out of that wall. And so we build a whole motion detection system, and there's an iPad, there's a video on it playing, and it says, hey, please pick me up. And basically it allows you to then, I'll show it how it turned out. So here you go, pick up the iPad, it motivates you, please pick me up. And now we get a ball that follows into the wall. And now a creature from Stranger Things starts coming out. And then here comes the room expansion. So what can we do to expand the room? Everything has to work in real time, has to be super light. Yeah, lighting, obviously, all the tricks you can do, you want to use. And then the idea of what if characters could come out of the real world, blend together, come alive, and you get to pick your vantage point, and you get to look around and do have this immersive experience. So always this kind of things are very difficult because you're on the cutting edge. Certain things you're going to hit limitations. But it was exciting to be, we believe, the first to do this in this space and try to do something that's really pushes the limit. So, and not only talking about it. I think what we experienced a lot is general, you experience a lot of people have these great ideas, but they don't come to fruition. It's not done. It's just an idea versus it is done. Here, a quick preview of something we're going to launch very soon. It's going to be called Location AR. It actually allows you to place environments in the real world and also data points and things like that. And you get to experience, take an environment that you have and you bring it into the real world with you, and you can share with other people. And yeah, basically it's imagined for architecture or film production. So play this here as well. And you'll actually have, so we have this white building that's not real. This is a real building, just with data points. And on the right side here, you can see a real building is occluding the virtual building. So the whole blend of how this all can work together, real-time compositing, all done on the phone. Yeah, very challenging, but I'll play this one more time. So the ability to preview entire environments or buildings, many possibilities there for architecture, city planning, and for the user to experience it and see how is it coming together. Yeah, so location AR is what's going to be called, and we'll share more on that in the near future. Oh. This is from Apple, obviously, and something I'm fascinated with. Okay, how is the Apple headset really going to redefine how we blend virtual environments and real environments and all in one go? And interesting enough, the Apple approach has been more of a 2D approach, like here, versus the 3D approach. And I'm sure there's a good reason for it. The 3D approach is too big for the average person. For 3D artists like you guys, I'm sure this is sometimes feels okay, why? But we got to remember, not everybody is used to 3D. Most people still live in a 2D world of scrolling and photos and videos. And so I think they have to be smart about what approach they take and how fast they move that forward. Anyway, exciting things ahead on that front, I believe, and happy to discuss that more in detail maybe. And yeah, that's real quick, the presentation. A couple of augmented reality projects. How does it work? How was it executed? The thoughts behind it and the user journey. And happy to answer any questions.
Fascinating technology you're working on. Congrats and kudos to all those super amazing demos and actual also products to be able to work with Disney and all those companies. It's super prestigious, and so really kudos on that. But I also, I mean, I see so many risks when you described at the beginning with the launch of this football app. It has to work on at the first try. So can you maybe elaborate a little bit on the decision process that involves a huge amount of potential pitfalls on the technical side? Not that so that yeah. Let's say the and kind of the commitment to still go with it. How does this play out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it took a team to basically take the risk and saying, okay, can this work? And there's so many things that can go wrong because people could be in the way. And it depends on, maybe it doesn't work perfectly from every vantage point. So you have to build in some fail safes. You have to build in things, okay, maybe you recalibrate. And it's also an environment that's maybe a bit more forgiving because it's a sports environment and people play around. Your biggest issue is internet, because, you know, if your internet is super slow, nothing will happen for you and people get frustrated and there's nothing you can do. So your compression and planning that is very important. It really has to build with the bare minimum, and at the same time people expect it to look great. Yeah, so you really you just have to optimize everything to a T. There's no forgiveness. It has to work on every phone. What happens if it only partially loads? So a big thing is the moving away from apps as well, is something we noticed. You know, people are used to apps, but in a setting like that, you cannot download an app. It's just too long and too slow and too many things. So this idea of it has to load in seconds, this really changes the game. And all the advantages that you're used to having an app, or let's say you guys who build huge environments and you have desktops and Unreal Engine and all that, all your advantages are gone. So that part is where you really, you're gonna make decisions on what is really needed and what helps you, but everything has to be really small.
Not that makes absolute sense, because you mentioned before you're basically loading it through a QR code directly in the browser. So yeah, there's definitely no time to pre-install or load even an app. But I mean, this comes with definitely with certain limitations. Also, if you, let's say, there's no credit card you can add to the app, right? So on the, let's say, even just from the monetization side of things, or kind of personalization with a personal login and so on, you must be super limited on that also in the use cases, right?
No, you could load in the credit card, you just don't start with it. I mean, I think we have this tendency now, everybody, which I personally hate, why I dislike apps at this point, is that every cool app you want to try, you have to install it. The moment you want to actually try it, first you have to pay. And I think the world doesn't really work that way. It works the opposite way. It's like, maybe give me a free trial, give me a free test, and then I'll, so if it's great, people will be happy to pay. But people will also not like it if you already start with that, because there's so much free content available. But no, you can do all that. Just it's easy to add a credit card or something later in the process as people use it, and now if there's a payment needed or a sponsor thing or something like that.
No, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, in the end, it's the market that dictates what will kind of survive or not, right? Can you maybe, going into the direction of, you mentioned a lot of the optimization with characters that are known from, let's say, TV series like Stranger Things that suddenly pop out of the wall. Can you tell us a little bit about what are the specific, let's say, requirements of a 3D artist that, let's say the skill set of a 3D artist that works on these types of projects? Because I would say you need to be really, really aware of the performance. And so can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, it's all about, you really gotta know, you have to know how to bake things. You'd have to be very good at polygon count. And again, the answer is not really low polygon. It's actually just polygons in the right places. And there you need actually very high polygon count usually. So it's all about being sort of mindful of where things have to be, and also working with textures and all kinds of effects and putting it all together, and understanding, of course, mobile phone. I'm not saying the mobile phone is the best device to experience this. It's like looking through a keyhole, but you got the most users, and unfortunately the headsets is the opposite. Maybe you have the most incredible hardware, but you got 5 users, so that's the issue we have right now. So let's hope Apple will be the ones to solve this somehow.
Yeah. All right, so we got a question here. So let me see. So the question is from Roman, and he asked, what made you decide to move to the US? Was it a personal or work-related decision? Would love an insight.
Sure. Let me see. Should I turn off my screen? Is that better, or is it the camera still on? I'm not sure what you guys see there. Yeah. Okay, great. What made me move? So I grew up in Bern, and my dream at the time, which was around 2000s, was I wanted to work in Hollywood. And of course, that was a crazy idea. Everybody thought, you're nuts, that will never happen, and you don't even know anybody. But I really wanted to work on the big movies. That was the goal, to like work on a Terminator or a Star Wars movie or something like that. And that was
Iron Man.
Yeah. And so interestingly enough, it was just a different time, because the internet was not as strong. You couldn't learn that much. A lot more was learned through books and DVDs. And at the time, I founded a website, and that helped me then build a community called XSI Base in the time of Soft Image, XSI, people remember this. I ran the world's largest website as a student, and that allowed me to find a way over there and get an internship and find a way into this film world. So.
Cool. Yeah, and then I could maybe extend on this a little bit. So moving on, or you moved over to basically as an artist. I'm assuming as an artist to work on those movies. Meanwhile, you are a CEO of this very successful company. How did you shift between or how did your vision shift in to decide to go more on the let's say towards the CEO level?
I'm not sure how many 3D artists thinks about this, but the big issue is that most 3D artists are very passionate about what they do, and they love this kind of work, but they don't think too much of the business side. It's just you do the work and hopefully do good work, and it basically leads somehow to something. And the thing that happened several times in my career is that you may develop really cool stuff and you don't own it. And like I built a virtual camera system after Avatar had come up with a virtual camera system, and I was then asked to build a small one, and basically for the company I worked for. And all of a sudden you build some cool stuff and you realize you don't own it. You know, the moment you're let go or things change. And I think we're in a time where creators are kings, basically, you know, so people should always think about, don't just do great artwork, but what could you do that yeah, it's also maybe some ownership. So that was led to that. And after Hollywood, I worked for Snapchat for a bit, and I got to experience the mobile side. So the early days of AR and mobile, and at the time I looked down on mobile because I was used to the big screen. I felt big movies is where it's at. And all of a sudden you see these 23-year-old kids out of school and basically have millions of users, you know, with an app. And we put this on last night, 10 million people saw it, things like that. And just felt there was an opportunity there, and people going to keep using their phones. And I think there is we got to move away from just scrolling and swiping, I think. And I also think yeah, if you just look at the homepage of Google, you know, it's pretty disappointing where we're at, because they filled it with ads. It's literally a mess, and that's the world's most important internet company. And so my desire is, again, I think, why can't information not be a bit more natural the way we are? We look at something, and as I look at something, the information is presented to me, for example. And yeah, so those kind of ideas where also you realize, okay, maybe you have to venture out on your own and pursue them.
Yeah, no, I mean that's basically the whole Web3 discussion, and obviously crossed with all the XR technologies now. And also, but it is definitely built back on everything has to work mobile, and it has to work also for the masses. So it needs to be simple to use, right?
Yeah, I believe the future is in cross-platform. So it's basically, it may run on the desktop, it runs in the headset, and it runs on the phone. That is where it needs to go, you know, I think, and not one or the other. It's way too much. We just build it for one thing. And
yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Actually, I do have another question here, and that's from Martin, who will present right after you. So he asked, for the football stadium app, do you need to scan the setting prior to AR implementation?
No, we have a technology that allows you to do it without the huge scan of the stuff. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. No scanning of the environment. Yeah. I mean, we have a rough idea of the environment, you know. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but then let me see if there's another question coming in. Is there for you, Raffael? Is there something that you would like to expand on in general? What you talked about?
No, I'm just great to see you guys from Switzerland. I would say I'm a bit of the, I've been gone a long time. You know, when I started out 20 years ago, there was not that much 3D. There was maybe 2-3 VFX companies in Switzerland, and I had to go abroad. Basically, that's where all the work was. And over the years, I keep looking back home and see, hey, who would be great to collaborate with? Would be fun to work on things together, or what is happening in the space. And yeah, happy to collaborate with anybody from Switzerland specifically if they're interested. There's my infos, and just excited to see what comes up. Yeah.
Very cool. And obviously also the links to contact Raffael, they are on the speakers page on the website, and then once these videos go up to YouTube, we will also be linking on the videos. So at the moment there's no more additional question coming. Then I would say let's do another quick break here and then jump into the next presentation with Martin. Awesome, Raffael. Thank you so much for having you and for the awesome presentation. Super inspiring stuff.
Okay, thanks for having me. Thanks, bye.